The big takeaways from Chapter 14 on social psychology are these. Social psychology was one of my favorite classes when I was in college as a psychology major. If I had not become a clinical psychologist, I would have become a social psychologist for sure. Like others this semester, this chapter directly relates to some everyday experiences that we have interacting with others. Topics such as social perception, or how we read other people, interpersonal attraction, including how romance develops, conformity to norms, and group influence, like peer pressure, are just some of the many topics that social psychologists study. Really, really interesting chapter we're in here. First big takeaway in this chapter: social psychology connects psychology with a separate field of sociology. Psychology is the study of the mind's inner working. The separate field of sociology is the study of groups and how those groups interact with each other. So social psychology is the study of the individual person as they interact with other people. And sometimes that also means interacting in groups. And how those others can influence the individual, the person's behavior, as well as their thoughts, attitudes, and feelings about things, people, situations. The field of sociology is the science of society, social institutions, and social relationships, specifically the study of the structure, interaction, and collective behavior of organized groups of human beings. Now, put simply, psychology studies the individual, sociology studies groups. Social psychology connects these two separate fields, studying how the individual behaves when in the presence of other people or when in groups. Second big takeaway from this chapter is about this first topic of social perception. Really interesting. It is automatic and normal for us to make judgments about people that we encounter, including especially strangers. In this chapter study of how we read other people, we must admit this uncomfortable truth. We may have heard that we should not judge other people like it's a bad thing, but these quick judgments, this automatic sizing up of people, is actually part of the evolution of our human species. It was in our best interest and safety to quickly, automatically assess a stranger approaching in order to label that person as a friend, which means safety, versus an enemy, which spells danger. You could say that we are hardwired to look at someone and make these pretty quick judgments. But this sizing up doesn't end there. Our imaginations can generate a detailed impression very quickly. It's amazing. In this chapter's study of impression management, we learn how we can judge a person based on as little information as a moment's looking at them. We actually use heuristics that we studied back in the cognition chapter, mental shortcuts. In this chapter, as we size up a person just by their looks, we'll also learn that physical appearance turns out to be pretty important as to how we judge others and to how others judge us, interestingly. We each probably pay more attention than we'd like to admit to other people's first impression and their external appearance, both their looks and their behavior, as we size them up pretty quickly. The last takeaway in this chapter is about conformity and the pressure to follow norms. Most of us have felt this all our lives. Some conformity to social norms of a local group is necessary for a society to function, like driving on the right side of the road. That's just a safety thing. Norms are powerful because they are, by definition, socially accepted. And many people operating in groups seek approval, or at least try to avoid disapproval. We're here as norms are defining what is the right thing to do, and most of us want to be right, or at least avoid being wrong, especially in public. This leads us to the natural urge to want to fit in and follow those norms, especially in places that are new to us. This is something we've probably felt in grade school, all the way through high school, and even up to today in some situations. So, in summary, the big takeaways from Chapter 14 on social psychology are these. Number one, our chapter topic of social psychology connects psychology and the separate field of sociology. Put simply, psychology studies the individual, sociology studies groups. Number two, our social perception means that yes, it is automatic and normal for us to make judgments about people we encounter. And physical appearance turns out to be a pretty important part of that. And number 3, a big takeaway, social norms exert a pretty powerful influence on us as we have the natural urge to want to fit in, especially in places that are new to us or with groups that are important to us. Those are the big takeaways from Chapter 14 on social psychology. Thank you, everyone.